Joined on the broadcast by Harini Rana, sports broadcaster. Harini, thank you so much for taking out time to have this short chat with us. But you know, on a day when we are celebrating all these big medal wins, of course, it's an ongoing event. We are hopeful that we will get many, many more such medals. But you know, we are also taking a look at these four people who have won the medals, the first medals that India has got in the Commonwealth Games this time around. You know, it's a big moment, of course. Let's first talk about Mirabai. It's a big moment for her. The way she actually dominated that entire event, you know, completely set her apart from the rest of the competitors. Was it expected that this would be such a remarkable performance this time around from Mirabai in the Commonwealth Games?
I think one thing is certain that everybody expected Mirabai Chanu to have a great performance. But the difference that you see between the silver medal and the gold medal is, I think that's phenomenal, because somewhere I feel when you look at that number, she's created a league of her own, right? Especially after the performance at Tokyo when it was silver, and coming here, knowing the kind of pressure, obviously added advantage was the fact that she was coming off a good training that she had sort of undergone. Things were in place for her and a familiar environment, because if you know Birmingham, if you've been there, you will see that 80% of the crowd is Indian. So familiar conditions for her. But I think it was phenomenal to see her lift 200 plus kgs. And, it's a testimony of the hard work that she's put in. And if you look at her journey from the time when she was a youngster and how she got into weightlifting, I think it speaks volumes. And this performance, I think, reflects the kind of journey that she's had, the kind of comeback she's made after an injury in 2016 at the Tokyo Games, bettering that performance at Commonwealth Games. But I think the bigger pressure, as she mentioned, is going to be the World Championship and, of course, the 2024 Paris Olympics. But I think she's created a league of her own. If in one word I have to describe her performance, it is phenomenal. It's not often that you see a athlete lift so much with ease. It wasn't easy, but she made it look really easy. And of course, for all of us, a billion plus in India and across the world who were watching this live broadcast, to see the tricolor and the national anthem being broadcast there, I think it was the most memorable moment for all of us, right, as a country. And what better than just a few days before the 75th Independence Day of our country?
That's right, exactly. And, you know, the kind of confidence that we have seen from Mirabai this time around, she also said that she hopes that the CWG event should be known by her name. You know, that is, of course, something which probably a lot of athletes hope for, that, you know, an event should be identified by with them, just like Neeraj Chopra would have probably done for a lot of Indians this time around, last year around during the Olympics. But if we talk about also the others, you know, all the four medals which we have got so far from the Commonwealth Games have come from the weightlifters, from Bindya Rani, from Guru Raja Pujari, from Sanket Sargar. All of them have had, of course, their own journeys, their own trials. This also, in a way, of course, once again brings into the forefront the topic that we keep talking about, but is enough, you know, done when we really come to look at it, about giving proper spotlight to other sports in the country. Like all the four medals so far by four weightlifters, several of them probably making their debut in the CWG this time around. You know, this probably once again brings into question whether we need to put enough spotlights, for example, onto weightlifting to begin with. You, as a person who's been covering sports for quite some time now, what do you think in terms of the infrastructure that this sports has in the country so far?
I think the biggest positive is that we are seeing a lot of people contribute, and a lot of the stories, as you mentioned, right? The four individuals who won medal. Now we've had somebody who's won a medal who actually supports his family, who runs a pawn shop in Sangli. So all these individuals, if you look at Mirabai Chanu, she used to lift firewood back at her hometown in Manipur, and that's when she realized that the coach realized her potential, that, you know, this is a field that she could sort of channelize her energy onto. So I think all these individuals have had their own journey. And what is heartening to see is that we as a country are acknowledging the different kind of talent beyond cricket and beyond the mainstream sport. And I think it's phenomenal with the kind of top scheme that the government has put under place, some of the other schemes that the Sports Authority of India, the Youth Sports Ministry has put in place, is giving a platform to these athletes to train overseas, to ensure that they maximize their potential through science, medicine, injury management, and a lot of effort has been put in place. And what we are seeing right now is results that have come through these schemes that have consistently helped athletes. And I do agree that there has to be enough sort of support coming in, and it's gladdening to see, for example, through this Commonwealth Games, we have seen an announcement by Reliance Foundation. Now they've come in as partners for the Athletic Federation of India. They've come in as partners for Indian Olympic Association. So those are huge boosts that are coming in for athletes and for associations, which is only going to better India's chances when it comes to Paris 2024 or at marquee landmark sport events where India could make its mark with the kind of population that we have, reflect on the medals tally as well.
Let you go. My last question, what would be, I mean, it's an ongoing event still. It's very early days for India and for everyone, of course, participating in this mega event in Birmingham. But what is the big takeaway, if you can tell us, from this win by the weightlifters, the way they have really stolen the show so far, so to speak, in the Commonwealth Games for India? What would be your big takeaway from these wins?
I think it's inspirational. If you look at these stories of individuals, they would sort of inspire a lot of youngsters to take up a different sport, to get inspired by their story. Sport, in a way, integrates very well with the culture of the country and the mindset of the country. So I think that is something that I would take away. And I'm also sort of keeping my fingers crossed to see how the cricket team does, actually, because that's for the first time that we are having cricket at Commonwealth Games. So that's something to look forward to. And I'm sure we'll have many more medals that will come into India's tally, because this is just the beginning of something special that we have ongoing at Birmingham.
That's right, Harini Nair there. Thank you so much for joining us on this special focus that we had on Commonwealth Games and the weightlifters who have won 4 medals, bagged 4 medals for India. And we are hoping that we'll see many, many more such performances in Birmingham from the Indian contingent. Staying with